Hello YouTube, and welcome to another Elder Scrolls lore video. Today I'm bringing you a video that's a primer for the upcoming Elder Scrolls Online expansion, Greymoor. Soon you'll get to explore more of Skyrim in Elder Scrolls Online, particularly the west of Skyrim. Greymoor will take place in the Holds of Solitude, Morthal and Karthald. Some of my older viewers and Elder Scrolls Online players, of course, might know that Karthald Hold actually never appeared in the Elder Scrolls series and is essentially an Elder Scrolls Online invention. How did that happen? Why was Karthald never mentioned before? There's a lot to unpack here in order to understand the setting of the next expansion. That's why this video here is to help you understand all this and more. Now, before we begin, allow me to get a huge thanks to my friend Mikey, who did all the in-game research for this video, and his friend Rayna, who got all the footage. With my ESO client being as dead as it is, I cannot get the public test server to work, so I couldn't even get into the game to start doing my own research, so I'm really glad that these guys were willing to step in and lend me a hand. With that said, let's get right into the lore. Just quickly before we begin, I won't be spoiling any details on the Greymoor story. This is all just backstory that's convenient to know if you want to start playing Greymoor. Our story here begins with the death of High King Borgas and the loss of the Jagged Crown. The Jagged Crown was the symbol of might and power for the High King. Whoever would wear the crown ruled Skyrim by right of arms and collective adulation. With the crown lost and no real successor to be found, the Jarls of Skyrim held a great mood to try and elect a new king to the throne. But politicking and partisanship held the mood back. They failed to select what many considered the obvious choice for the throne, Jarl Hanso of Whiterun. This eventually led to the War of Succession, as many of you know. This War of Succession lasted for 50 years. It was an intense time of trouble for Skyrim, which saw them lose power and influence abroad, with the Nordic Empire, which was very prevalent at the time, losing most, if not all of its territory outside of Skyrim. It only ended when the Pact of Chieftains, another moot, collaborated and together brought Olaf One-Eye to the throne. If you want further detail on Olaf One-Eye and the War of Succession in general, you can check out my story on Olaf One-Eye video. There I go over how he reunited Skyrim, his controversial ascension, and some additional details to his story. After Olaf's passing, the Moot realized two things. One, that it was better together whenever a king died without any direct heirs, and that whoever they elected as king should still have a crown of sorts. The seat of power did not have exactly meaning if there was no symbol for it, according to them. So they sent the most powerful mages from every hold to a convention. This convention's purpose was to create a magical crown capable of testing the worthy potential candidates for High King. This is how the so-called Crown of Verity became the second royal crown of Skyrim. When the Moot gathered again, they selected Asurn Icebreaker as potential candidate. According to the lorebook, the Crown of Freydis, the crown literally refused to be placed on his head. This obviously meant that Asurn Icebreaker could not be High King, crown or no crown. He then threatened to kill all the members of the Moot if they did not give him the seat of High King. It was then that another chieftain, Kjorlik the White, rose up to challenge him. They had a duel, where Kjorlik eventually emerged victorious and Asurn was slain. Seeing this, the Moot tried to place the crown on Kjorlik's head and found that it was placed easily. From then on, no one would question the crown's ability to judge a potential candidate for the throne. Many kings would come to assume power after Kjorlik. The most legendary among them would be Hauk Murkiller and Wulfharth of Atmora. Hauk Murkiller was Kjorlik the White's son, who was known for his hatred for elves. His many battles against the Dunmer, Dwemer and the Rennie garnered him a reputation in the 36 Lessons of Vivec, and it said that he could use his powers to swallow the earth to strengthen his soldiers. His successor, Wulfharth of Atmora, would go in to eclipse him in glory and deeds, and according to Jarl Balgruuf of Whiterun, Wulfharth was a legendary dragonborn at Morin. Wulfharth's tomb was so powerful that he couldn't be sworn verbally into office. He used his voice for a number of great deeds and performed many heroic feats, such as summoning the Ghost of Shor to fight an Orc-summoned Alduin. Moving on, we come to the kings of the Second Era, the Riemann Empire, and the developing tensions between Eastern and Western Skyrim. As I covered in my Kingdom of the Western Skyrim video, the assassinations of Severin Chorak and High King Logrolf led to a fracturing within the Riemann Empire and Skyrim. King Logrolf's successor would turn out to be his daughter, the heir apparent Freydis. But before she could assume power, her legitimacy was questioned by Jarl Svarter of Solitude. He campaigned for a moot to be held, despite Freydis being able to wear the Crown of Verity. You can learn more about this and about how East and West Skyrim came to be in my video on Kingdom of Western Skyrim, in case you haven't seen it, as I don't really like repeating myself, as it would basically make this video way too long, and certain people who watch all my videos would see every bit of information every time I speak about a certain topic. But to quickly recap the most important information, currently in the Elder Scrolls Online timeline, the holds are divided between Hafingar, Hjalmarch, Falkreath and Whiterun in the west, and the holds of Winterhold, the Pale, Eastmarch and the Rift in the east. The Reach is basically an independent kingdom ruled by someone called the Despot of Markarth at the time. We don't have much information on the Despot other than he's basically hostile to everyone and nobody likes him. That's the situation. There's also a new hold that has been established in the west called Karthald. It used to be a territory within the Reach, but has since been hotly contested. 3 different peoples contest the ownership of Karthald. There's of course the Reachmen, the Western Nords and the Orcs from Hrothgar. The seat of power in Karthald is a fortified city called Karthwatch, and the Orcs of Karthald inhabit a mining settlement called Morkazur. Those who've played the Elder Scrolls V should recognize this name, as it's actually an Orc stronghold in the game. And finally, the Reachmen make regular incursions from the Reach into Karthald. Although Karthald is definitely an Elder Scrolls Online invention and has never been established in prior lore, it's interesting that things have come out this way, and I think it's a pretty interesting concept. And it shows that Western Skyrim is also in turmoil, just like the rest of Tamriel. Speaking of turmoil, there seems to be a sort of cold war between East and Western Skyrim. Both kings of each of the regions do not acknowledge each other's claim to total power and tend to see each other more as rivals. King Svagrim and his people are highly paranoid of Yorin in the east, seeing threats everywhere. King Jorgrun's pursuit of the Ruby Throne has led to a massive level of tension. According to the creative director of the Elder Scrolls Online, Rich Lambert, the Western holds are much more grim and traditionalist than the Eastern Nords. This is pretty ironic, seeing that the Eastern holds have always been known as the Old Holds, and that it's almost a direct opposite of the state of the Elder Scrolls V Skyrim, where basically the East is more traditionalist. But if you think about it, you can understand why they did this for the Elder Scrolls Online. Because the West believes that the Eastern Nords are losing their identity the more they work with the Ebonheart Pact. This is doubly so considering that the Nords and the Dunmer have always been historic enemies. Most Nords wouldn't really forget their loss at the Battle of Red Mountain either, which wasn't too long ago yet, to be faded out of memory. So all this has caused for significant tension in Skyrim, and while it's not in a civil war, just like in the Elder Scrolls V, it is actually at the brink of it, as East and West are standing across from each other, and armed conflict between the two could actually spark between any moment. Breaking away from the politics of Skyrim a bit, besides seeing some of Western Skyrim, we also get a chance to explore more of Blackreach. But it's pretty different from the way that we remember it from Skyrim, the Elder Scrolls V. Blackreach there was just a massive cave that hosted one of the largest dwarven cities ever in one of the games. But in the upcoming Greymoor expansion, Elder Scrolls Online expanded Blackreach to include larger underground portions beneath Skyrim. And Blackreach is now a massive cavern hosting not one but a few underground cities. It was basically the same for Skyrim, but this is just a whole lot bigger. For more information on Blackreach, you can check my lore video on that as well, as I don't really like to rehash content, like I said earlier in the video. The thing that ZeniMax is doing with Blackreach seems to involve the supernatural, as in you will have to stop a vampire conspiracy down there. We know that these vampires will be a new strain, not of the Volkihar clan. Who they are hasn't been revealed yet, even if you're playing on the public test server, you don't know yet. It's interesting to see what the bloodline characteristics will be. Judging from the launch trailer, we can see that there are some shared characteristics between Volkihar and this new strain, but it leads one to believe that it's possible for more than one strain to become Vampire Lord. So with that being said, these are basically the main takeaways from this video. One, that Greymoor will take place in 3 holds of Western Skyrim, Hafingar, Hjalmarch and Karthald. Players will get to explore the never-before-seen sections of Blackreach, which already existed in lore, by the way. Blackreach in lore is a lot bigger than we get to see, so basically they built upon existing lore for this. Supernatural powers will be the main antagonists of the chapter, so vampires and some people think werewolves as well, which, come on, it's pretty likely considering Greymoor's logo. And the tensions between East and West Skyrim will serve as a stage for the player to look around and explore on the overworld. So, that brings this video to a close. Thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the video. And before I end things, allow me to really thank Mikey and Rayna again. This video wouldn't be there without their help, as my Elder Scrolls Online is just permanently black screens every time I try to start it. So, a huge thanks to them. I've always wanted to do this. Every time there's a new expansion for Elder Scrolls Online, I want to go into the game and basically tell you a bit of the setting before it launches. But then my ESO is just refusing to work for some reason. So, yeah, I'm really thankful for them to give me the opportunity to finally do this. So, huge thanks to them, and of course, allow me to thank my top patrons, Mr. Bernardo Binda, Mr. Gabriel Binda, Mr. Christmas, Mr. Para, and Mr. Daniel Deli. These guys, along with the others on screen, are the ones that allow me to make these videos every week, and for that, I'm of course very grateful. That said, I will see you all in the next lore video, when I hopefully have time to release it on Tuesday. But I'm working very hard on the anniversary video for the channel, which is taking a whole lot of time, so yeah, I'm very busy, and I'm getting very tired, but hopefully it's gonna be worth it. Anyway, look forward to the 26th of May, when the channel's anniversary is. Bye bye.